Mr. Craven. Alright guys, so typically I do not record on the weekends. But there are a lot of crazy things going on this weekend, and I'm playing catch up since Clockwork City. And before I switch this build over to update another build for this character, I figured I would go ahead and release this PvP build, despite me wanting to be selfish and hold on to it. This is my Pestilence build, and it is deadly as hell. This build is probably one of the most awesome, atrocious builds for my Nightblade. And I really love a lot of the flexibility that the Nightblade has, but the problem of it is a lot of Nightblades do not get to capitalize on what it means to be a roguish. And traditional rogues really grab the element of poison, disease, dot, and burst. That's what made rogues deadly, right? In other MMOs, it wasn't just the simple fact that they could burst you down. They left an aftermark that no matter, even if you got away from their initial attack, you were going to die. And that's what this build brings, and that's why it's called Pestilence. One, it's a pest. Two, even if you get away, you're still dead. Now, there are a few classes that can potentially survive it. Tanks being one of them, they can. But you can still take down a tank. And two, potentially healers. But with this build, if the healer has got enough balls to stick it out, they're going to die regardless. This build is not a melee build. It is a range build by all means. And that's what I really like about it. I don't have to be up close. So it's a Bobo build. I'm really liking that more and more these days because, 1v1s, you can get in there. You can go ahead, spam them down, pop in and out, right? You could do your normal Nightblade things. But the range game for a Nightblade gives multiple targets that you can infect. And I do mean the word infect with this build. I'll go ahead and I'll get into it. Alright, so we're going to go into the character sheet. Now, I'm in Cyrodiil just so I can bump up that little health boost that I'm going to get. But you're going to see my max magic at 9,932. You're going to see my health at slightly under 20k. You're going to see my max stam at 36k. My stamina recovery prior to my buff is at 1833. That'll get bumped up to by an additional 100. And you're going to see my weapon crit at 37.9. Now, I know a lot of you are going to be like, what the fuck? I will get into that. And you're going to see my weapon damage at 2,047. To the left, you're going to go ahead and see my stamina is all allocated to 64. And we're running the Lover Mundus. And I am a vampire. And I'm using the Dubious Camoran Throne. Okay, now this is a Bobo, so it doesn't change. Now we're going to go ahead and get into the sets here, right? So I am using the Ophidian bow, the Ophidian set, and the Sheer Venom set. Let's get into this. Okay, so my main weapon of choice is my Ophidian bow of Venom. Now, what this does is going to give me max stamina, weapon damage, max stamina. When I deal damage with a light or a heavy attack against an enemy who has a poison damage ability on them, I have a 50% chance to deal an additional 4,250 poison damage every second. Every time I hit with the light attack, I have a 50% chance to apply this additional damage. As long as they have a poison on them. Right? That's crazy. That's nuts. It's actually awesome. Because I love it. Because they get smack the fucking back continuously. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So now we're going to go into the other one. Now on my back bar, I just have my blue bow of Venom. That was, I think it's defending or something. You just need two. But this one is kind of like my buff bar, defensive bar. So that's why it's the defending there. Now I do have poisons on. Now currently I'm using the maiming poison. But I do suggest that you go ahead with the triple drain. Now the triple drain is a very effective poison, especially with this build. The reason being because you can go ahead, drain them, right? Once they lose those resources, they're screwed even further. That's the problem with tanks and healers. Healers can go ahead and purify your dots, right? They can cleanse it. But if they start losing resources, well, how long can they go ahead and cleanse it? That's why you want to use drains. You want to use the drains, so as soon as they bottom out, they have to keep cleansing, and sooner or later, they're going to bottom out, and that's right, they're going to die. Okay, now we're also going to use the sheer venom. Now the sheer venom, now usually I'm not a big dot person because we know burst and Cyrodiil is the thing. But hear me out, guys. Okay, so we're going to get max stamina. We're going to get weapon damage. We're going to get more weapon damage. And then on top of it, when I deal damage with an execute ability, I infect the enemy with 10,409 poison damage over 6 seconds. Now keep in mind that the Venom set, right, allows me to deal an additional when they have a poison on them. So between any other poisons, this going ahead and stack. So what we're doing is we're initially stacking a lot of debuffs and everything on top of it, so they could go ahead, no matter how many cleanses they have, there's an effect that keeps reapplying. So that's the importance of this. So now we're going to go ahead. Now this is infused ideal. We have the Ophidian Jacket of Venom, Divine. It should be infused, but that's fine. I had the Divine on. I have the Krog's Pauldrons Impen. The only reason I'm going to use Krog's, I want to bump up that penetration. Remember, guys, if I don't have enough penetration, I'll lose damage even on dots. Okay, now I also have the Pelt of Sheer Venom Impen. I have the Braces of Sheer Venom Divine. That's ideal. Or you can use Impen. I have the Guards of Sheer Venom infused, ideal, and the Feet of Avidian Boots of Venom, well fitted. That's ideal because I just want to go ahead and reduce a little bit of cost. I have the Necklace of Sheer Venom, lift weapon damage. I have my Ophidian Ring of Venom with 1 recovery, and my Ophidian Ring of Venom weapon damage. Okay, so that's how the layout goes. Now let me go ahead and get into the skills here. Okay, now on the primary bar, now this is our primary bar. I'm going to have the Shadowy Disguise. And I am a Bosner. For anybody who wants to know, I prefer the Bosner, but you can use Redguard, you can use Khajiit, you can whatever you want. That's fine. I like the Bosner. I have a lot of regen, plus, you know, I get that bonus to stealth and so on and so forth. So I like the Bosner. So we have the Shadowy Disguise. Cloak yourself in a shadow to become invisible for 2.9 seconds. We're always going to deal a critical strike. Right? So that's all we need. We don't need an insane amount of crit. But keep in mind, sets don't crit. Right? That's why I don't really care about crit. I don't need critical damage if a set on a set proc. So that's why I don't care about crit in this build. I'm using 2 proc sets. So they're not going to crit. I already know this. So the only time I really need this is if I'm going to use an ability attack. I don't really want my sets to crit. That's why I don't want high crit. And if I'm going to use ability, I'm going to hit the Shadow Disguise, and I'm going to guarantee my crit regardless. Okay, so we're going to also use Poison Injector. This is what triggers Sheer Venom. Because technically, guess what? I'm going to give it up to my boy you on this. This is a finisher. And yes, it will apply the Sheer Venom proc every time. And I love it, because once it starts trickling down and you get all these stacked effects and they're cleansing for their lives, if they have a cleanse, because if they don't, they just run and die. It's just simply amazing because it starts ticking in once they hit below that 50, and it just starts magnifying the damage. Love it, love it, love it. Now, we've talked about healers and tanks. They could be kind of annoying, right? Well, Lethal Arrow has become my very best friend in majority of these situations. Why? Because it applies. What is? Okay. So also we're going to affect them with Major Defile. This is important. Now, I pump into Buffow. Why? Because you'll notice down below, it reduces their recovery by 39%. Their healing. It reduces their healing capability by 39%, hitting them with this bastard. Kaboom! Bam! I'm telling you guys. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, Relentless Focus. This is my buff. It's going to give me the Minor Berserk, increase my damage by 8%. Also, it's going to give me the Minor Endurance, increasing my recovery by 10%. Now, when I hit with light attacks, I can activate the Assassin Scourge, which deals 15,351. Now, keep in mind, I'm using the Venom set. So all I have to do is keep weaving, right? Because I already have the sheer Venoms proc in. Keep weaving. Now, boom. Scourge is up. Proc it, let it go. If they survive, they won't after this, I can guarantee you. Let them drop. The best thing possible. Now, I want my Camouflage Hunter. Why? Because I will get that extra Major Savagery. Plus, I get a nice boost when I'm in crouch. That's why I really want to keep this slotted. Flawless Dawnbreaker on the main bar, just for my AoE. If I get up close and there's a lot of people, I can hit this ulti, but mainly it's going to go ahead and give me that extra weapon damage, so it'll increase my abilities. All right, back bar. This is pretty much defensive bar. Use Razor Caltrops for Zergs. We have a lot of Zergs, and we have a lot of Nightblades. So, yeah, I use the Razor Caltrops, throw them out, slow them down. That gives me time to get back farther and just keep firing away. Defensive, when you have a lot of stand builds, they want to get up close to you. That's their thing, especially if they're two-handed. You want to use the Magma Shot. Why? Because it's going to knock you back 6 meters, and it stuns them for 1.5. So that's a good defensive tactic. All of a sudden they get on top of you, switch the bar, pop it, stun them, dot them up, hit the cloak, and watch them die. Resolving Vigor, we know why I have it. Also Shuffle, if I'm in and out of mix, people try to hunt me down a lot. They hate me. I have a lot of players who hate me in this game, and they will try to hunt me down, so Shuffle becomes my best friend. Also Piercing Mark, so if I'm in stealth and I got a little person right out in the open, especially Nightblades, I do not like Nightblades getting away from me, other Nightblades. So I will go ahead and mark their ass and try to take them out before they can take another person out. And of course, my lovely friend, yes, the Toxic Barrage. I do not like to use Ballista. I love Ballista in certain builds, but in PvP, I really like the Toxic Barrage. Why? Because it deals a shitload of poison damage, and once again, keep in mind, this is a poison build. It hits really hard. So yes, this is my friend. I love Toxic Barrage. All right, so that's pretty much about it in a nutshell, except I will go over the champion points because people will ask me. Okay, so Physical Weapon Expert, 21.15, Mastered Arms, 1602. Thermaturge 1602. Now notice what I did here. I split the difference. A lot of people might want to think you want to put more into Thermaturge. Do not do that. You would not be smart, because this would go, you're going to weave, so you want to put more into your Physical Weapon Expert, right, for percentage value, because you're doing a lot of light attacks. So you want to capitalize on this. You're also going to be dealing a direct damage effect with certain abilities, and you're going to be using dot damage. So you got the difference between the two. So it's in your best interest to split the two to reduce the diminishing effect, so you don't overstack in one and then you're weaker on the other. This covers the distance. All right, so piercing. Once again, we're in PvP. You can't have enough because there's people with up to 20k friggin' resistance in this place. So, but I like to go ahead, use the lover, use the piercing, and use the sharpen trait. That's how I roll with this. And then we're going to have Mighty at 12.08. Ironclad at 1208. Resistance 73, 1525. I need a lot of resistance in this place, especially since not all my pieces have impen. Pretty easy. Okay, Hardy and Elemental Defender, 909, 1110. I am a vampire, but I cloak a lot. Thick Skin, 904. Dots can be a little bit of a pain at times. And quick healing, quick recovery at 6.17. Coming over to the Thief, we have Warlord at 904. Sprinter, reduce cost. Let's reduce them. 1210. Siphoner, god dang, I love this thing. I can't afford to put a lot into it, but I'm dealing light attacks, so guess what? And we're going to run drains. So I'm going to put it at 8.12 because I'm dealing light attacks. Let's reduce their recovery amounts, shall we? Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, Tenacity, 8.12. Mooncalf, 1301. Healthy at 707. Bafal, the big one. The boss. We need 31. You can scale this down a little bit. I wouldn't recommend it. I want to go ahead and I want to debuff these motherfuckers and bring them to their D's. So I'm going to put Buffal to 3109 and Tumbling for 1. You know, I had 2 extra points. And that's how we go ahead and allocate the champion points. Pretty much, guys, this build lives up to its name. I know I didn't want to give out this build, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. But I have to respect, this is just it's a deadly build. It's just nasty. It is in every sense of the word. I have footages of people trying to run for their lives, and they fall dead and dead and dead. I have footage of people trying to get on top of me knocking them back, dotting them up, stealthing out, and they still die. It's nasty. It is so gross. I love this PvP build, and I hate giving it out. So if you haven't subscribed, please click the subscribe button right now. This is my favorite build of all times for the Nightblade. It is probably worse than Cancer. Yes, it's Pestilence. I want to thank you for watching. I'm Mystic Raven. I hope you have a nice weekend. And once again and always, have a nice day.